minus the 0, x minus the 0. So in your problem here, it's x minus a minus 5. That's for the first one. X minus 5i, x minus a minus 5i. Is it clear where those came from?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you do simplify signs. So this becomes x plus 5, x minus 5i, x plus 5i. All right, now this is called factored form. That's not what they want, but it leads to standard form. So you do have to expand. All right, and you actually expand this one on the right here first. Do you remember this acronym, FOIL?
Mm-mm.
Sometimes students call the rainbow method. You're going to multiply the first times the first. What is x times x?
X squared.
X squared. Now the outside is x times positive 5i. So we're going to write that as 5ix, which looks weird, but just go with it for the moment. Then it's negative 5i times x minus 5ix. And then the L stands for the last, negative 5i times positive 5i. That becomes negative 25i squared. So take a look at that, see if you have any questions before we proceed.
Okay. No.
Okay. Now, really important thing here is that I squared is really -1. That should have been said somewhere in class. You don't need to know why that worked. Just, just go with it for the time being. But that means instead of I squared, you're going to put in -1 and you're multiplying there. So that becomes plus 25. The 5ix and the minus 5ix, they cancel because they're opposite in sign. And then you're just left with the x squared. Is that clear?
Yeah.
All right, so now we got x plus 5 times x squared plus 25. And now you unfortunately have to FOIL again. So we're going to take this x times x squared. And let me know if you need to get caught up here. I'd like if I'm going too fast or you don't have time to write down, just say, hey, Matthew, slow down. Are you good to proceed?
Yep.
All right. X times x squared. What does that become?
X3.
X cubed, good. And then x times 25. What does that become?
25x.
25x. 5 times x squared. What does that become?
5x cubed.
Squared. There's no x to go with it, so it's just 5 times the 1 that's in front of x squared. And then how about the last one there? 5 times 25. That becomes 125. All right, so standard form here. You want to put these in descending order, tallest to shortest. You're probably at the front if you're playing center.
Yep.
All right, so that is the answer to this. Now notice that there are no i's in the answer. Okay, no i's. There shouldn't be any i's. So if you get an I in your answer, you've made a mistake. At a minimum, you should get rid of it, but you'd actually want to go back and try to figure out what happened. All right, so I still have not received anything unless it came in by email. Let me check email.
I don't think she's ready yet.
Okay. So for future lessons, you can send stuff over, whenever you want here. Let me have you try a FOIL problem here. X minus 3i, x plus 3i. Could you try foiling that for us, please? It's a lot like the one we just did, just different numbers.
So would it be x squared plus 3ix?
That's the first multiplication. That's x times x and x times 3i. You got to keep going with the other one, the O and the I and the L.
Negative 3ix and negative 9i.
9i squared. So the I times the I gets you the I squared. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, because the two i's, yeah.
All right, now we said before I squared is really -1. So instead of I squared, you're going to replace that with -1, but you're multiplying. Could you try simplifying this for us, please?
So it'll just be 9.
Give me the whole thing. Imagine I'm only grading what goes in the box here. What would go in the box? What's left over after we're dealing with this? So these cancel in the middle. The 3ix and the -3x, they cancel.
Yeah.
And you're right, there is a +9, but what else? That's not the only thing. What else is remaining?
And the x squared.
Yes. And you again see that there's no i's that are left over.
Yep.
Okay. Would you like to do one more or move on to something else?
One more.
Okay. X minus 2i. Sorry, let's do plus 2i. Let's go x minus 2i. Go ahead and give that a try, please.
Is that a 2, right?
Yes. Sorry, yeah, I could write it right. Yes, that's a 2.
So x squared plus 4.
You got it. Very good. Okay, so let's go back. There's a couple other questions we didn't get to last night. The first one is this pick a graph of the following. So we're going to look at that here. So to graph something like this, you first have to set this equal to 0. Okay, and by setting it equal to 0, you're actually setting each of these individually equal to 0. Could you tell me the solutions of each of these?
Okay.
Could
Let
you
me look.
solve each of those for x?
So 2 equals x equals 4, and x equals 3.
Okay. Now each of these has an exponent of 1 here that's not written. So even though it's not written, it's still there. Um, have you seen that before?
No.
Okay. The reason that's important is that exponent is what's called the multiplicity. The multiplicity tells you whether it crosses or touches. So kind of off to the side here, if it's an odd multiplicity, an odd exponent, if you will, that means it crosses. And if it's an even multiplicity, it touches. So graphically, we know that this crosses, crosses, and crosses. Okay, so this is just information you need to be able to graph it. All right, so let me put the graphs in front of you now. So we're looking for the graph that crosses at 2, 4, and 3. Notice at 2 here, that's called a touch. Because or a bounce. I mean, you play basketball, so you know what that means. It bounces, doesn't it? But here at 3, this is a cross. Can you see the difference visually?
Yeah.
What's going on at 4 here in this graph? Is that a cross or a touch?
That's a touch.
It's a touch. Yeah. So this one's wrong. Now let's look at it's also doesn't even have the right x values. This one doesn't have the right x values, so we're gonna get rid of that. All right, so next one here. What's going on at 2 here? Is that a touch or a cross?
Uh, that's a cross.
How about at 3?
Touch.
But it doesn't it go all over to the other side?
Oh,
Switches sides?
yeah, crosses.
How about at 4? Is that a cross or a touch?
Down the touch.
That one is a cross as well. So it crosses at all 3 of these. Is that what we're looking for? Are we looking for something that crosses at all 3 of those x values?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our answer. I think this is answer, let's see. Okay, we got one more problem from last night to do, and then I can make problems up like the other ones, or if you can get some of those questions over and take a look at those as well. All right, so here we go. We're going to do the same thing as we did in the previous problem. We're going to set this equal to 0. We're going to set x plus 2 equal to 0 and x plus 3 equal to 0. Could you solve that for x for us, please?
-2 equals x, -3 equals x.
Very good. Now you're saying, and I'm not trying to be critical of you. You're giving me the number equals the variable or the letter. Typically, it's the letter equals the number is the way it's preferred to say it. Um, just that, and I'm not being critical of you. It's just kind of like this is what they want to hear.
Fine.
All right. So this time here, the multiplicity is the exponent. What's the multiplicity at -2? What's the exponent above it?
1,
Is that odd or even?
even.
One is an odd number. One is an odd number, like 1, 3, 5, 7. Those are odd. 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Those are even. So look back in your notes here if you wrote it down. Does it touch or cross at 1 or at -2 with a multiplicity of 1? If it's odd, does it cross or touch? Is the question.
Um, 1 crosses.
It crosses. Yeah, it crosses because it's there. So that's like more stuff. Remember, it touches or bounces at the even ones. The multiplicity at -3 is the exponent here. The exponent here is 2. We know that it touches. So we're looking for a graph that crosses at -2, but touches at -3. So let me grab the graphs here again. Crosses at -2, touches at -3. Do either of these graphs do that?
Um, so it ends at -2 crosses.
These are different, right? Crosses, touches, touches, crosses. We're looking for the one that crosses at -2 and touches at -3. Which of these is that?
Um, the the second one.
The one on the right here? That
Yeah.
does look correct. Yeah, good. Any questions on that?
What letter would it be in the answer?
It's the top right one. They're not lettered, so I'm not sure.
I'll also tell you.
Okay, so I got a picture here from this. Uh, any chance we could get the rest of the page so I can see the instructions on that?
Okay.
Or maybe you can just read them off. Maybe just read them.
Okay, so number 1,
The grouping, I've got 8, 10, and 12. What are the instructions for 8, 10, and 12?
factor each completely,
Anything else?
and 12 is find all zeros.
Okay. About 16.
Describe the end behavior of each function.
Got it. Okay. So more of the same of what we were doing last night. All right, that's fine. So let me do you have to get these done for homework? Like, is that necessary?
No, most of them are already answered.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for example, like 16, do we need to do that so that you can get it turned in? Like, is that important for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do 16 first, and then we'll look at some other problems here.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. All right, so 16. We're looking for end behavior. Okay. So we need to know two things. We need to know the degree of this, and the leading coefficient. What is the degree?
Um,
What is the highest exponent that you see?
so 3.
Okay, and is that odd or even?
That's on
Good. Okay, what's the leading coefficient? What's the number in front of the x cubed term?
so 1x,
So just the number. It's not never the variable, just the number.
1
One. Is that positive or negative?
positive.
Positive. So those are that's the piece of information that you need. Now, if you remember last night, I made 4 graphs. So for the odd ones, it either starts low and ends high, or it starts high and ends low. These are both for odd graphs. The difference is the leading coefficient. This is a positive leading coefficient. This is a negative leading coefficient here. So which is yours? Is it the one on the left or is it the one on the right?
Um, it'd be the one.
All right, like use your information. Yours is degree 3, which is odd. Yours is a positive leading coefficient.
The first one.
It's the one on the left here. Okay. So the way your teacher described this is on the left and then on the right. On the left here, is it rising or falling?
It's falling,
It is falling. And on the right, is it rising or falling?
rising.
So there's your answer.
Okay.
So let's do a couple more like that. Okay, so here's a new one. Let's say f of x equals 1 minus 3x minus 4x squared plus 5x cubed minus 6x to the fourth. What is the degree and what is the leading coefficient?
Here, the degree is 4,
Good. Is that even or odd?
even.
Good.
And the
The leading
coefficient is -6.
it's -6, and you said the important thing, it's negative. All right, so for evens, there are 2 graphs. There's starts high and ends high, starts low and ends low. This is a positive leading coefficient. This is a negative leading coefficient. So which is it? Is it the one on the left or the one on the right for your problem?
On the right.
Okay, so on the left here, I'm sorry, well, the graph right, but on the left here, is it rising or falling?
On the left, it's falling,
And on the right,
falling.
falling. Good. Okay. So here's what you have to be able to do. You have to be able to memorize, remember these 4 graphs. So my question to you or thought is to ask you, how do you remember important stuff?
You study it.
You don't, yeah, you don't have to give me like a textbook answer. I'm asking more about you. Like, what do you do to remember stuff? Like, you know, Coach says, I really need you to learn the playbook. How are you gonna do it?
Mm, just like
Right.
like
Like I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but just, that's what's going on here. It's like uh I was at the gym. And I saw someone, get into a car and they drove away and they nearly hit someone. So I had to remember their license plate real quick. So I wrote it down. Like, how are you going to remember uh, this? And that's for you to figure out. Like, the only way you can do these questions is if you know these four graphs.
I would just take notes of them and go over the notes
That work.
and keep doing practice problems.
That works. Okay. Are there any other questions on your paper that we need to solve for your assignment there?
Yeah. Do you have 13?
I do not. Can you read it to me or tell me what it
Yeah,
is?
it's pretty easy. So I'll just give you the problem first. So 2, comma 3, comma -1, and it's asking to write the factor form of the polynomial given in
Oh,
zeros.
perfect. So you actually did one just like this yesterday. So let me go find the one we did yesterday and maybe jog your memory here. Because the way to learn is to actually go back and see what you did, not to just listen to Matthew talk about it here. You remember doing this problem yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have your notes from that problem?
Yeah. So you use the factor form.
Right, right. So for this one, I'll just write the answer. It was x plus 1 times x minus 5 times x minus 1. So what you have to figure out is like, well, how did I get these numbers from the original numbers? And the answer to that question tells you how to do your problem. So I think you actually did one on your own last night.
Yeah.
So
I think I
whenever
got
you're ready, take a minute here to think through that. But let me know what you come up with.
uh, okay. Almost done. So parentheses x minus 2, parentheses x minus 3,
Okay,
and parentheses x plus 1.
very good. That is correct. All right, good job on that. So, what else you got on your paper for us to do?
Okay. Did you get number 1?
I did not. If you want to have, you can send over some more. I mean, it might be faster than me asking each time. Or you can read it out. I can try to.
Oh yeah, I already answered. I just you want to give me like an explanation of Because I think the
Sure.
teacher and I were going to go over it
Yep.
again. So there's 10 p exponent 2 squared 2. And it says name each polynomial by degree and number of terms. So like,
Is this the only thing though for number one?
yeah, so the quadratic monomial. So what's
Yeah.
that?
Oh, okay. You want an explanation. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So monomial means one term. Okay. Binomial means two terms. Trinomial means three terms. Polynomial is typically for more than three. Okay. So a terms are separated by plus and minus. Do you see any pluses or minuses here?
Oh, let me write this down.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I get so excited. I like to rush rush into things.
Okay, so wait, what? Plus or minus?
Yeah, and so I was just asking you, do you see any pluses or minuses? This
No.
okay, so that's why there's only one term. Now, the exponent tells you some more things. So now we've got to talk about exponent. Okay. So if it's got an exponent of 0, that's called a constant. 1 is linear, 2 is quadratic, 3 is cubic, 4 is quartic. And I don't know if there's anything past 4, but that's probably enough for what you need to remember.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I know it's more like memorizing and stuff, but like that's what it is.
I can use this on the test. So I'll be good.
Oh, good. You get notes on the test?
Yeah, some stuff.
Well, write down as much as you can. That's a good strategy.
Okay, I got it.
All right, so why is it a monomial? We know that now because it's one term. Why is it quadratic? Because it's a power of 2.
Yeah.
All right, so the more common one, like if we so like let's say I gave you something like minus 6x cubed. This would be a cubic monomial.
Okay.
Now, what I'm used to seeing are problems more like this, where they give you something like x squared plus 4. So see how there's a plus separating the terms? There's two terms here.
Yeah.
So that's a binomial. But then you look at the degree of the exponent. What is this? Is it constant? Is it linear?
I got it.
It's quadratic. So you go for the highest degree one. All right, let's see. Let's give you another one here to think about. 1 plus 2x minus 5x cubed. Give me the name for this based on that list we went through.
Trinomial
Okay.
and so cubic trinomial.
Yes. All right, very good. Any other questions on there that you need some explanation of?
You get number three?
I only got the one page that had 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16, just the right side. Um,
Okay. So number three, it's parentheses 2m cubed minus 2m squared plus 5 parentheses plus parentheses 3m squared minus m cubed minus 2 parentheses.
okay.
You have to perform the indicate operation and simplify.
Yeah, the thing that you have to be told here is that the only reason you need parentheses, there's only two times you need parentheses. One is if there's a subtraction operator. Do you have a subtraction operator here in the middle?
No,
So that doesn't account. And then if there's a number in front, is there a number in front?
no.
So you actually don't need parentheses in this problem. So we're going to drop them. In my case, I'm just going to delete them. Okay. Now, what's the number in front of this m cubed here?
Um, number in front of m cubed.
Yeah, on the right here. What's the number in front of m cubed?
Um,
You could like there's a minus sign here, but there's really a number that's not
oh,
written.
1.
Yeah, -1. Okay. So go ahead and combine like terms here. What do those become?
I mean,
Is it clear what I'm asking you to do?
yeah, so 1m,
Cubed. Good.
yep,
All right, now do the same thing for the next set of like terms.
1m squared,
Good. All right, and then the last set of like terms.
3, just 3.
+3. Good. All right. Anything else on your homework there to complete?
Um, yeah, there's one more.
Okay.
Okay, so you're gonna be doing the same thing. So parentheses 2x plus 4 parentheses parentheses 2x squared plus x plus 2.
Like this.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very similar to something we were doing earlier. You're going to take this 2x and you're going to multiply it by the 2x squared, the x, and then the 2. Okay. So 2x times the 2x squared. What is 2x times 2x squared? What does that become?
Um, 4x cubed.
Good. And then it's 2x times x. What does that become?
2x squared.
Okay. and then it's 2x times 2.
4x.
Very good. So then you unfortunately have to do the bottom. Some students call this a rainbow. You got to do the 4 times 2x squared. What does that become?
8x squared.
8x squared. Then you got to do the 4 times the x. What does that become?
4x.
And then the 4 times the 2 becomes
8.
8. Do you see any like terms here?
Yep. Okay.
All right, go ahead and combine those up for us.
So it would be 10
And what goes with it?
x squared.
Okay. Always bring down that leading one first. All right, what comes next?
8x squared.
Just 8x. When you add them, they keep the order or keep the degree. Sorry. And then plus 8. All right, we are going to stop there for tonight.